Thumbelina and Her Adventures, retold by Lita Jacob, narrated by Sheetal Iyer. Thumbelina and Her Adventures. Once upon a time, there was an old woman who longed for a child of her own. She went to a fairy and asked her if she could grant her dearest wish. The fairy gave her a barley corn seed and said, "Plant this in a flower pot and soon your wish will be granted." The woman paid for the seed and planted it as she was instructed. Very soon it began to grow into a tightly closed bud in red and gold. "The bud looks beautiful," said the woman as she bent down and kissed it. Immediately the bud blossomed into a beautiful flower with glorious red and gold petals. Inside the flower was a delicate, tiny maiden. She was the prettiest child that the woman had ever seen, but she was no bigger than her thumb, so the woman called her Thumbelina. The old woman made a bed out of a walnut shell for Thumbelina to sleep in. The shell rested upon a leaf in a bowl of water. The bowl was placed on a table beside the open window so that Thumbelina could get all the fresh air she needed. The tiny girl would step out of her walnut shell onto the table and play there during the day. At night, the woman would tell her bedtime stories until she fell asleep in her bed. Thumbelina had a sweet voice and she would often sing. The woman could not have asked for a prettier and more graceful child. So the days went by in contentment until an ugly frog came peering through the open window. The frog saw Thumbelina sleeping in her walnut bed. "What a pretty little girl she is! She would make a lovely wife for my son," thought the mother frog. So she jumped through the open window and onto the table where Thumbelina lay. She lifted the walnut shell with Thumbelina in it and jumped out into the garden below. The frog lived with her son in a stream near the garden. She set Thumbelina down on a lily pad. She then called out to her son to show him his bride. The frog, who was uglier than his mother, looked at the sleeping Thumbelina and said, "Croak, croak!" They left Thumbelina all alone on the lily pad while they prepared their home for the wedding. Meanwhile, Thumbelina awoke and was shocked to find herself in a strange place far from home. Frightened to see
Sample complete. Ready to continue?